President Trump also signed an executive order implementing a tariff on imports from Mexico and Canada and a 10% tariff against China.
The order says if any of these countries retaliate, the president can increase the scope of those tariffs. Canada and Mexico have already promised retaliatory tariffs. The president says Americans could feel some pain, but that it will be worth it.
I don't expect anything very dramatic. We put tariffs on. They owe us a lot of money, and I'm sure they're going to pay.
The last thing people need right now is their prices going up. $1,200 a year, $830 a year. It is awful.
Those tariffs will likely impact Coloradans in many ways. We have team coverage for you tonight. Your reporter Olivia Young is looking at how tariffs could impact agriculture. But first, let's go to your reporter Andrew Hobner. And Andrew, those tariffs will impact oil and gas products.
Oil and gas is probably the biggest thing that it could stand to impact here in Colorado, where we rely so heavily on Canadian heavy crude oil to help supply so much of what we do here in this state. And that means that prices could increase at the pump and then in other areas of life as well.
It's a big concern, and it's going to be something that affects a lot of us that live here in Colorado.
Cynthia is filling up her tank on a Sunday night.
This is just a place where a lot of our activity revolves around being outside. And unfortunately, the best way to access that is with our cars. And I think that's going to limit who can access the mountains.
She might be getting in while the price is still low, as President Trump's tariffs threaten oil and gas imports from Canada and Mexico.
I think people don't pause to think like, hey, like we rely a lot on outside sources. They're a huge contributor to our life, our day-to-day.
Colorado relies heavily on Canadian oil, and the state's only refinery is run by Suncor Energy, a company based in Alberta. In October of 2024, 63% of the state's imports from Canada was primarily petroleum and crude oil. The president acknowledging to reporters Sunday morning that there could be changes to prices.
There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
Colorado Governor Jared Polis responding with a statement of his own Sunday night, saying, quote, Trump's tariffs will be a tax on Coloradans and American families and increase the cost of everything from food to gas. And while Colorado does have capability to produce lighter crude oil, many refineries in the Midwest were built to process heavier Canadian oil instead, creating an interdependence that Cynthia has thought a lot about lately as she finishes filling her tank and gets ready to head home.
And I think people don't see it as a day-to-day. And I think with gas prices going up, they're going to feel it on a more personal level than they did before.
The American Fuel and Petromechanical Association says that the biggest issue, if you tried to take that shale lighter oil and bring it to these refineries, it could decrease fuel production and could increase gas prices. Now, that also has downstream effects, especially in the agriculture world, when you consider the tractors and heavy machinery that requires that gasoline and oil that we get typically from up north. In Denver, I'm Andrew Hobner, covering Colorado First.
Andrew, thank you.